show, featuring fun and deep discussions about the things that affect female entrepreneurs most, as well as tangible tools to grow their business, all the while living their best lives. And now, give it up for your hosts, Rachel and Ron.
There you
Michelle,
are. Hey, hey.
I love our intros.
I do. I love it. The only thing is we're using a new platform today and we have to see. I'm not sure if it actually showed over there on Facebook, but we'll check it out. We are modeling what it looks like to just show up and do the thing, even if we don't have it all figured out.
That's okay. We're learning. Although I so look forward to these morning chats with you.
Me
Genuinely,
too.
I feel like I'm living life just to talk about it with you on Tuesday mornings.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so tell me then what's going on in your life.
Oh, nothing, nothing.
Nothing?
I did. I felt like you got scared with that last E. I was like, and then you're like, wait, is it? Just put some topical cream on it. It'll be fine. Um, uh, I don't like to talk about topical cream that much, but it felt like a good place to say it there.
Okay.
But no, I went on my date.
You went on your date.
I went on a
Was
date
that was Saturday night?
Saturday day.
Oh, Saturday day. Right. So it was a Zoom day date. Is that right?
Yeah, Zoom day
Because,
date.
I mean, you don't want to do like an evening thing as your first date. Is that right? That's like the better etiquette.
Yeah, and I have to
Okay.
say, I had a lot of friends make fun of me about it. Like make fun of me about the virtual dating thing, and I think it was so efficient. I mean,
Mm,
it really does rob you of the romantic connection and like the possibilities, but it's much more direct where you're like, is this or isn't this? You know?
yeah, yeah. That's so fascinating. And it's kind of funny that you just used the word efficient with regards to your dating. Interesting. Yeah, but I hear you. I hear you. Like, why waste your time? Why waste her time if it's not a fit?
Right. And she
Mm.
was awesome. Oh my God. So I have to say, like the matchmaker who I talked about last time, Abby Rosenblum, who this woman is, she's just my hero. I want to be her when I go younger. She's 26. She's built an amazing business already. She has like in and out, she's had 500 people in her database throughout the
Wow.
past 2 years.
That's
Like,
fantastic.
and there's
Yeah.
currently 300. And that my thing was like, oh, like if you just started off like with being a matchmaker, like how many people could be 300 people currently in her database? Like,
Wow.
yeah, so she's doing it. She's the real thing, man. She's
Yeah.
awesome.
Super cool.
Super cool. So, and
Okay. So she listened to what you wanted and
and yeah, so oh yeah, exactly. So I have to be honest, and I've told her this. I met with her because I wanted to do video with her. I wanted her as a client, and so we worked together, and so I did her videos and stuff. But prior to doing her videos, she interviewed me, and she started talking. She's such a kind salesperson. She's so warm, and it felt so organic, and I was like,
mm,
oh, that's what I do to people. Okay, oh yeah, all right. She made me feel like I'm like she needs me in her roster, like, and I've never felt needed like that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
where do I
So
sign on the dotted line?
I know, where do I sign that line, right? Like it was just so organic and it was just so conversational. I was like, okay, yeah, I should do that. So she asked me all these questions, and at that time, I hadn't done as much work with Michelle Pegues, my relationship coach. So I was like, oh, it's like I showed up smaller, and I was like really uncomfortable talking about what it is that I'm looking for, and I felt like, do I even have the right to ask what I'm looking for? Who am I to say like I don't want this, but I want that, and all these things?
Mm,
I know some value there, some worth issues, right? And so, but what I did say, she heard me perfectly and just like was really good about like the like common interests. Like she just nailed. She was like, okay, it's this. I, it was it was a great time. Like I had a real good time. But it was it's like there was more of a friend vibe for both of
yeah.
us,
Yeah.
which is cool, which is
And it's
great.
so good to know that. Yeah. So you made a
Yeah,
new friend. I
yeah.
love that.
Super cool. She's super cool. But it helped me even articulate even further, like what I wanted. And so it was really funny. So on Sunday we did like a debrief. And I was explaining to her, I was like, I'm looking for more of this or that and this. And she goes, she's like, it sounds like you're describing yourself. And I was like, oh, is that narcissistic or is that healthy? Because,
And dun dun dun.
right. And
What to
so,
say?
oh, I was like, yeah, I guess I am. She's like, do you want to date yourself? And I was like,
Whoa.
whoa, like not the dude version. Like, no, I mean, like, I'm just saying for the ladies out there, the single ladies,
Yeah.
like, this is good. Like, I don't have a temper anymore, like at all. Like I don't. Like if I have a temper, I'm like quiet, and then I'm like, oh, I feel really frustrated right now, or this is triggering to me
Well,
because
you've
when I was
done
7.
amazing work on yourself. I mean, and it's the kind of work really all of us should be doing on ourselves because we all have that thing, right? So you identified your thing or things that you needed to work on, and then you just went and did the work, and it's hard work. And look what you're like. Yeah. And now you're like, sign me up. I want to date myself.
Right.
Those coaches are like, heck yeah, we won on that client. Like, we did a good job. He's uncovered so much that now he wants to get in bed with himself. Perfect.
Twice this morning you said get in bed.
That's true. I did say that earlier, didn't I?
We talked, yeah. So 100%. So right. So isn't it? So this is, and I want to talk about you. I want to hear how your week was, but like, not but and, isn't that the point though? On some level, like, aren't we? Because in one of my sessions with Michelle, we talked about this idea that she asked me to articulate my dream woman, or she didn't even ask me. She said, see yourself like the best version of yourself, and then this awesome, like my dream woman. I call her Michal. She's Israeli in my mind.
Interesting.
I know it is interesting. I never thought I would.
Yeah.
I'd be.
I don't think we have time to talk about that today, but we should probably dig into that one.
For sure. For another time. Like a J.J. Abrams movie for another time. But like, I wonder how many people will get that reference, but it's okay. But so I told her, I was like, I didn't see myself. I saw this awesome woman who's brilliant. And I was like, we had so much fun in our meditation. And she's like, could it be that was your mind's, like your mind was only able to show you your dream version of you in that form. So like we date who we want to, like we date people with characteristics that we wish we had ourselves, right? Isn't that what we do when we start our businesses?
It totally is. But hold on, wait. Can we like not go there yet? Because as you're saying that, I'm thinking back to when I met Adam, and I was saying to you earlier, I don't know if people are sick of hearing about Adam and Rachel.
Perfect.
But we're a thing. We're a thing. And I mean, we've been together for, I think, 17 years. So I love hearing about your dating stuff because I'm like, it is so foreign to me. And then add on COVID dating, and I mean, I'm totally lost. So I'm learning a lot from you. Thank you. When I met Adam, you are so right. He is really smart and driven and directed. And he was also calm. And that was something that I had always aspired to be and never was. Anybody who's watching this and knows me from, my childhood or even in my 20s knows I was crazy. And Adam was like just this square version of me, right? Also type A, also really driven, but much more balanced than I was. And it's so funny because now, 17 years later, when he's kind of getting a little bit hyped up, and I'm like, hon, chill out. And I'm the one who's more relaxed. And so I've said to him, and I think even my mom before, like, who would have thought that I would be in a relationship with somebody and I'd be the chill one,
Right.
So, yes, it's so true. We look for the things in our partners or our potential partners that we want to reflect back on ourselves or mirror back in some way.
100%. And I feel strongly about the fact that everyone wants to hear. I want to hear more stories about you and Adam. I think you guys are, because you guys to me are like, yes, proof that it works. Like proof that like solid connection, like we talk about like ease, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that love drama and love heightened tensions and stuff. That's not my speed. Like I do think that relationships should be easy, like,
Well, I kind of wonder, not to get like too judgmental, it's just more of a curiosity thing. I wonder those people who are seeking out drama, what else is going on for them
right.
that they might be searching for some sort of intense energy like that,
Right.
Because when I met Adam, I mean, literally, it was like we could have been engaged after 2 weeks and we didn't have a fight till 5 years later. And it just was so easy. Like we just seriously like fell in love and enjoyed being together and still feel like that. Like we laugh a lot. And I think that there's a lot to learn from that model. Like you were just asking about the whole business thing. It's the same thing in business. Like it should just be easy, right? And so this is how we got to, would you want to date yourself in business? Like, are you are you sitting pretty where you are and feeling like you're attracting the kind of people that you want to hang out with?
Yeah. Right. So it doesn't feel like sales.
Totally. It's not about, the word sales is so icky. Like people have so many different connotations or, thoughts when you say that word, they're like, ugh, or some people are like, yeah, whatever, they're just such a wide variety of emotions attached to that. And ultimately, I just think sales is all about a two-way yes, just as it is in a relationship. Like, this woman that you hung out with over Zoom during the day on Saturday, it was a two-way yes on the friendship, which is great. Like, then you guys know that. And if you decide you have room in your life and want to hang out with each other, great. And if not, like, no fail, no foul. What's that word?
No harm, no harm, nor foul. No
Thank
harm,
you.
nor foul.
There it is.
But it's true. You bring up a good point because it's. I think a year. Well, not a year, but like let's say 11 years ago. 11 years ago, I would have definitely been like, she doesn't find me attractive. Oh, there's something wrong. Like forget what I feel or think. There's something wrong with me. I'm not attractive, right? And it's like the same when let's say 5 years ago, if a client didn't want to work or a prospect was like, yeah, no, or I'd get an email and say, hey, we are looking at other people too right now, and we decided to go with the other person, I would be devastated. Where now I'm like, thank you, like thank you, like 100%, like that is so much more efficient. We are not a good fit. Great, thank you for helping me dodge a bullet.
Yeah, and there's nothing threatening about that. Like you're going to look at other people. I'm like, kudos to you, yes, because you should be looking for the best fit for what you need.
Right. Two-way yes.
That's a two-way yes. Yeah, I always go back to that two-way yes.
Right. So, it's like, I think I see a lot, excuse me, especially with new businesses. And when you're working with businesses that are so heart-centered, where it's, coaching or I have a lot of financial advisors that are like female financial advisors that are really trying to change like financial literacy and financial mindset in the female entrepreneur community or, female community at large. That it's like, I think when they start off, a lot of them are like, there is this fear of like, how do I get more clients? How do I get my name out there? How do I market? How do I blitz, the market and break through? And it's like, I don't think that's the way to do it. I think that's a very masculine driven energy where it's like we talked about, it's like the 80s where it's like, get on the phone and keep calling, keep cold calling. And I have clients all the time that are like, yeah, I'm not doing enough to sell. I'm not doing enough to sell. I'm the worst salesperson. Are you? Right? Or is your business just not, as you're starting off, is it just not set up in a way that is attractive to the people the people that you want to attract?
Even that energy you just said, like if you're telling yourself, I'm not a good salesperson, you're going to show up with that negative energy. So when we get back to our question of, would you want to date yourself? Like who wants to hang out with the person who you show up on a first date with and they're kind of downers, like they don't exude confidence and I don't know where I'm going with it, but you know what I mean? Like that's not somebody you want to hang with. And so don't tell yourself these stories like, I'm not good at sales. How about like, how can I get better at this? Or don't even think about it as sales. Think about it as a connection, right? I'm going to hop on a connection call. That's what I call them.
Oh my God. When I remember, this was like maybe 15 years ago. I was 30 pounds overweight, and I was on a J date in Chicago. And this is, I got to say, I'm going to be political right now. J date now is 60
Uh-oh.
bucks a month. 60 bucks a month. Baruch Hashem. Like, the chosen people need to pay 16 bucks a 60, 60. I don't want to choose at that. Choose someone else at that point. You know what I mean? Like, $60 a month. Unbelievable. For what? And there's like not that many, like,
Not personalized service or anything there.
no personalized service. And there's not that many people in Denver. Like,
Right.
that are
Right.
on J date. In Chicago, it's like, it's
All right. So it's not a fit for you.
it's not fit for me. Got it. But so the point is that 16 years ago, I was on J date, and I was on a date with a woman, and she was cool. And I showed up this way. I had gained weight recently. I was like, again, 30 pounds from where I'm at right now. And I show up, and I'm like, first thing I say to her, I'm like, I'm sorry, I gained a lot of weight recently. I apologize to her for gaining weight.
Wow. You did not.
Yeah, that's how small I was. Like, I'm like, so
Wow.
sorry, I gained weight recently. Like, what was I expecting her to be like? Oh, no worries, I love you.
Yeah.
I'll work with you to lose it. Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't even know. What do you do with that? If someone said that to me now, I'd be like, I'd sign them up as a client. Like, I would.
Yeah. Like, let's work on the story there.
Right.
Totally. Totally.
You know?
Yeah. And, oh, go ahead.
No, you go. But it's like, sorry, you go.
You got it.
Thanks, Rachel. But the idea is, like, I know so many people, as they're starting off their business, they're starting with, I don't have all the certifications. I didn't work for a big corporation doing this thing and come away with all these clients. They're coming from, I don't have millions of dollars like Coca-Cola for advertising or marketing, or I don't have a social media person, or,
Yeah.
you go like, who cares? Like, I started my
It's like
business.
apology after apology.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I started
there
my
are
business.
two things there. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, you go. We're so excited.
Yeah, I know. I love this topic. Well, I think there are two things there. I mean, one is that, people are really in this growth mode. And so they want to learn from other people, and they're like looking around, and they're maybe finding mentors or whatever. And so they think that they have to emulate those people. And if they don't stand up to those people, right, in qualifications, certifications, or whatever it may be, then they feel like they're not enough. And no, hello, I have never apologized for not having coaching certification. I learned how to run a business by being an entrepreneur in my mid-20s when I launched my first business in the fashion industry. It was a product-based business. I had no experience with managing inventory or anything like that. And I just learned everything from the ground up, right? I sought out the information. And so now I also founded a nonprofit with a friend and ran that with her for 8 years in a full volunteer capacity. But it was through building those brands and businesses that I learned everything that I coach on now. And I'm not going to make any apologies for not having coaching certification, right? Nor do most people ever ask me that even, right? So let's just like put an end to that, friends. If you're watching this and that you feel like you have to apologize for something, remind yourself that that is a story that you have made up and you're telling yourself, and nobody else cares about it. You just be you. You just do you, as my friend Carrie Knutson says.
Yeah, Carrie's the best. It's I feel you bring up Carrie Knutson and my heart just warms up. Like, I'm just like,
I know. She's one of my favorites.
She's the best. So, it's funny. I've been wanting to be a coach since 2007, and one of the first things I saw was, like, it said in all the coaching books that I read at the time, it said, you do not officially need to be certified. It's not like teaching at a public school, right? Like,
right.
or being a nurse. Like, you need to be like a licensed therapist. Like, you don't need that. They're like, there's no governing body that requires you to do that to practice. Mm-hmm. And then that really shut it down for me right there. And then over the years, if I ever felt back, like insecurity, like set in or something, and I felt back and I was looking at coaching programs, my dad would always ask, like, do they teach you how to get clients? And I was like, oh, or no, he's like, no, he didn't say that. He said, do they get you clients? These certification programs where you're paying tens of thousands of dollars, do they get you the work? And then every one of them said, no, you have to go get your own clients while you're in our program. And I was like,
Yeah.
But how does that make
Yes.
so that, I think a lot of these governing certification programs, they get you, they get you in that mindset of less than, they sell it to you that way. And I could see where again, like, and marketing, no offense to marketing people, I found not like people like you or Megan or like, but like I found that there's other like these big scale marketing companies will also get people to feel like you're not doing enough unless you're doing everything as a business owner. And it's
Yeah.
like there's so much hysteria, and I think that helps or hinders people from also going to this mindset of, would you date yourself in business? And so can I just throw this out there? Like when I work with clients on things like this, like here's how we break it down. So like date yourself, right? Those are the challenging words. And would you date yourself? Would you
Mhm.
is like, that's a question to you specifically, so we know how we're approaching this. But
Mhm.
date yourself. Out of date yourself, which do you think, out of those three, which do you think is the most like alarming, or the most like, whoa, like the word that sticks out the most for you? Date yourself.
Self.
Right? Because which self is it? Dating is a process. Like if we break down that word dating, it's like courting, it's like getting to know you, right? It's like figuring it out. Is this a two-way? Yes.
Yeah.
You're belonging to, but it's the self that we are in question, that's in question, right? The self, which part of self in business, in dating, like my business self at this point, I'm feeling great about. My dating stuff, that I got a coach to work on because I didn't know how to present that. I didn't know how to show up. Like I don't see myself as this conventional like leading man of like, never knew I could fit. That's my leading man face.
Yeah. It's a
This
good one.
looks angry.
Have you had any like headshots done like that? I'm like picturing the playbill,
Oh,
that's the one that
I
you need.
I had a headshot that helped me book Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar from 2014, and I'm very angsty, and I have like
Mhm.
scruff, and like my hair's curly, and I'm like, and that's how I did it. I was like, well, they wanted the headshot, so for 2 weeks straight, I would go sing High Seas and be like, wow.
Who knew that was what it took?
That's, yeah. I mean, the people
Okay, I
that
want to
cast
go
me were
back to what
offended,
you were
but
saying about the certifications, because I definitely don't want to play down any programs. This is not about, it's just about getting out of that fear-based mindset or
right,
sense of scarcity. So if this is you, this is something to work on. Like that's what we're inviting you to do today. It's not like, oh, if you're thinking about going for a coaching certification, don't do it. No, if that's what you feel like you need to grow into your expertise and develop certain skills and so forth, by all means, like that's awesome that those programs are there for you, or those bigger marketing firms, right? What we're talking about today is really just getting comfortable with your authentic self, because that's
yeah,
the easiest person to be is you. And so if you can just be you, then you're going to go out there and attract the people who are attracted to you, right? Who are attracted to your qualities, your sense of character, your skill set. Like it's your whole package, right? They're looking at you as a whole person. And I think but a lot of the businesses that you and I work with, these women are in the solopreneur or small business space, and these businesses really are based on their personal brands. And that's what this is all about.
right. And so, but it's like, and again, and I'm being defensive about these coaching programs because I just, or not coaching, certification programs, because I've just heard, I'm speaking to the ones that are not authentic or in alignment with you, right? Where
Mm,
someone feels like they're being bullied into it, which I've had conversations like that with people where I felt like I'm being bullied, literally bullied into any of these certification programs, or
mm,
and I've just had, and in the flip side, I've met people that were part of the same organizations that loved it. So,
mm-hmm.
I
Totally.
full
Well,
transparency
that's like a good example of what it is
of,
to get on a call, like a connection call, and to
right,
know this is not a fit for me, right? This program is not a fit. I'm not feeling good energy in my body right now. I'm not smiling. I'm not feeling a sense of relief as if they're going to lead me to what it is I've been desiring all this time, right? So that's like an obvious no. And that's what you want to look for. in these connection calls as well.
And so would you say then, Rachel, that the authentic you, which I think is, it's such a challenging, it's in my head, long spanning journey of trying to find that authentic you. And then you go add to it this notion of business, add to it the selling, right? Slash connecting with people, exchanging money for energy and product, service, time, all that stuff. Do you feel like, how would you articulate, because I loved how you said like this notion of what feels intuitively correct to you. How do you articulate the you in this concept? Like the authentic you, the you piece, right? We're bringing it back to this notion of date yourself. Like, so
Yeah.
self, how
Yeah.
would you articulate self as it relates to the expression of you in business?
Yeah. Well, gosh, the way you phrase that's a little complicated. Like I'm having trouble coming up with the exact answer, but I
I
think
can do better.
you can.
Yeah.
Let's try.
So
While you do that, I'm going to grab my glasses because first of all, I think it's going to complement my look, and also because the ring light, it gets bright after a while. All right.
I
So
do know.
rephrase your question, my friend.
Because I'm using the ring light and it's totally just like bouncing
Yeah.
off of my baldness here. Oh, you look so smart, so fancy.
Thank you.
You're always smart. I meant it in like the British sense.
Yeah, I know. No, I totally got it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No offense.
So how does someone like who, as we're talking about, would you date yourself in business, right? Like I remember when my web designer was making my website, she's like, would you want to work for this company? And I was like, oh my God, like after she was done, I was like, I want to work for Artful Speaking. That sounds like a great place to work with. And at that time I had like maybe 2 or 3 clients, right? Like the doors were open, but it wasn't packed. So, it felt like an expression of myself. It felt like authentic. It lived and breathed. It had my energy at the time, in a professional context, like in the sense that it wasn't just all over the place, but it was like, this is what we offer and this is what we're passionate about. And this is what we love. How would you articulate for someone who's just starting their business, which part of themselves they have to put out there on their website, on their copy, in a sales call, in an introductory call, which part of themselves, is it that they're, I'm gonna say again, like putting out there in a professional sense?
Well, it's so funny because now I'm like having all these thoughts about the first way you phrased that, but I think really what it is, sorry about that. It really is this alignment, this feeling of alignment. There's like a visceral response, right? So let's just not get to the written word right now. Let's just keep with the one-on-one conversational relationship building connections that happen in business. But it's about like tuning in to the visceral response that your body is having and then doing that reflection, right? So you were talking about, I love this, you were talking about debriefing with your, not your dating coach, the matchmaker on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's the exact process, is to really ask yourself, like, did I show up as the best me? Really get reflective and curious about where we stand in these relationships, right? So did I show up in a way where I was trying to convey something, or trying to not sell something, but convince, right? Was I trying to convince of something, or was I feeling a lot of ease? What could I have done differently, right? So it's like the same reflective process that you went through after this date last weekend that we do for ourselves. I'm still having trouble like fully answering your question, but I think I just keep going back to like, just do you, JDY, Carrie Knutson, just do you, because when you feel that ease, I think you'll know that you're there. Like that's the arrival, right? And so same thing with messaging is just, that's why I think in our line of work, we find such conversational copy written, right? The tone is much more casual. It's very relational because people are expressing themselves through their written word in the same way that they would in conversation.
Yes.
And I think that that's really key to giving people a sense of who you are before you've met them face to face.
100%. I always equated to, and yeah, you phrased it beautifully, I think. Like I always equated to, like if you're putting a concert together, and this is when people are writing, like when I have clients that are shifting or adapting, or especially I had a lot of clients last year that went from therapy to coaching themselves. They just
Mhm.
felt like they were limited in the therapy department. Everything was moving online. So they were like, I want to create a coaching practice. So I had a few clients like that. And, they were developing new websites and we were developing that flavor and that feel. The biggest
Mhm.
thing that I was like, let's look at this like you're doing your own concert. What songs, and I had a teacher say this to me once in college and undergrad. He's like, your audition book, the book of music that you have when you audition for shows, he's like,
Mhm.
that should be filled with stuff that you could sing. Like the majority of that book, you should be able to sing on a day where you just had a breakup, you have a cold, you don't feel good, you don't have your high notes for it's 8 in the morning. Like you should have the majority of stuff that you could like retreat to or pull out when there's something that throws you off, right? You have your other ones
Totally.
on the outskirts. You have the high notes and the big dramatic songs, and when you're in a
Mhm.
good place. But if you can't do those on those days, you just pick something that's right in that perfect
Yeah. That
ginger
comfort zone.
comfort, right? Which I don't
Mhm.
think is a bad word. I don't think comfort zone is a bad word. Um, and I would say to my clients, as I was like, I, I hope we don't get crazy emails from this, but I would say to my clients, I'm like, as women, have you ever been comfortable? And I say that not as like high maintenance, but I'm saying like, there's a lot going for my clients, like there's a lot going at them at all times, being parent, being a spouse, being like having gender construct issues. So I'm like, have you ever been comfortable? Like every day is a struggle on some levels, right? So with regards to this like concert idea of like putting out the songs that you can sing comfortably and that you are excited to sing and that
Mhm.
are in your range and not where you feel like you're a rock singer but you have to sing opera.
Yeah.
So
I
it's like,
love that analogy.
yeah,
That's such a great analogy for business. Is like finding that lane that you are so comfortable in and you feel so confident in, and knowing you can always come back to that. So even if you're trying something out over here outside of the lane or over
yeah,
here, right? Just knowing that you can try those things and some are going to land and some aren't going to work, and that's totally fine because you can always steer back here. So good.
100%. Like I recently I was hired recently by a real estate company to work with not like realtors, but like a full-on property management company to
Mhm.
work with the executive team on their investor pitches. And I haven't done investor pitches in years. Like I started the business that way, and then it evolved, and so I went back to it now, and it was very the owner was really happy, but I was confident to try it out because I had nothing to lose. I still had a stable of clients. I have regular clients that continue to flow, and now I'm spending time. I was like, I fell in love with it because I was allowed to do it my way. I would never go into a corporation where I'm not allowed to do it my way, right?
Yeah.
If I have to wear a suit like a with tie and like and not have flair and not swear and not be able to like get in with the people and talk about their feelings and all this. If I did that, I mean, that's not a place for me. So going straight
Yeah.
up in my mind, like a corporation versus like this cool mid-sized business. So now I'm spending time exploring that vertical and trying to get more opportunities or create more opportunities in that way. But it's all authentic, right? Because I'm going in with
Yes.
the mindset of what's a good company for me? Like where would I really be helpful, right? So I
Yeah.
think for business owners too, it's like what people are you most excited about dating, right? So would you date yourself? That speaks to, like we talked about, being your authentic self and developing your skills. And again, I don't mean to say don't get certification. If that it's like don't work out. Well, if you want to work out to feel strong and powerful, like work out, you feel more attractive. On the flip side, who are you attracting, right? Like what companies do you want to work with? What individuals do you want to work with? Who lights you up? I think that's so
Yeah.
pivotal. So because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and this was a big thing for me on Sunday, was in the past I was just like, oh, whoever will have me. And now I'm like, you know what? When she asked me that question, it was such a win. She asked me, would you date yourself? I'm like, yeah, because I think I've done a lot of work, and I would like to date someone who's also done a lot of work. That's who I
Mhm.
deserve.
Mhm.
Same thing
Mhm.
goes with your clients. Like, who would you be
Yes.
so pumped about playing with all day long?
Right, right. And go out and create that client for yourself. Like
Hmm.
don't tell yourself that he or she is beyond you or your reach or whatever it might be. No, I think just getting intentional and knowing that you can create those results, it's really empowering. And I think it makes the whole process so much easier and feels so good, right? It just feels good to do that kind of work. And you're like, you land a client, or you sign a new client, and you're like, oh my, I'm looking over here at my client board, like, oh my gosh, yes, I am so excited to work with that woman.
I do that every month. I have a spreadsheet of because I read. Do you ever read Get Rich Lucky Bee?
No, I haven't read that one.
I forget the woman's name, Denise. She's Australian, and it's a financial. It's a wealth mindset book for
Cool.
females. And so that was of course, like, I'm in that was the thing for me that changed my life financially initially, and really got me from like to look at all my money stories. And in the book, she talks about like, write down every cent. If you see a penny in the street, like, write it out in the spreadsheet every month, like and then you start manifesting more and more. And so I started doing that in 2018. And now I'll do like, okay, this person paid this person. And then I leave every month, like a spot or like spots for, I really want to work with a new video client, a new podcast client.
I do that too.
Isn't it the best? And I get so
Yes.
excited, instead of seeing like empty slots. I'm like, and I'll write people's names. I'll be like, is it Leslie ? Is it Rachel? Is it, like with a question mark? And then it means I'm open to it not being, but I'm like, oh, it'd be really fun to have Melissa or whatever, have her again this month, Shelly, or,
I love that. I just talked about that last week on a mastermind call. Or did we talk about that last week on the call here?
Yeah,
it's like keeping spots open on your calendar to fill your calendar when before it's full with clients. Like, just put those spots so that you're open for them.
And then another thing I just want to add, I know we're going to wrap up here, but like the other thing is, this came up, you said it, and it's so true. This notion of looking at something and instead of being like less than, examining and how to fix it. So the client that hired me for the real estate team, I asked him, I was like, because we're friends, I was like, hey, like, I want to do more of these. Like, what, but this is out of my like scope. Like, I don't understand how to get in with those CEOs at mid-level businesses. And he's like, well, check out this group, Vestige. Have you ever heard of this group?
Mm-mm.
It's a national entrepreneur group. And I don't think I would qualify. Here we go. I don't think I would qualify. They have a certain, it's a certain level, like you have to have X amount of employees and all these things. But I saw that they have a speaking page, like where you can submit to speak. My first impulse was, oh no, I can't. They get all these people. And so I coached myself through it. And at the root of it was, well, I don't know what I would speak about yet. Right. So it was so much easier just to, okay, I'm done, right? Like, drop it and go. And instead I was like, well, why don't you just create a presentation for that group that you feel strong about and feel passionate and would love to perform, right? Like a one-man show that you would love to perform versus I'm not good enough.
That's a great idea. Yes.
Right? So I think a lot of times too, as we're like this notion of dating yourself, this notion of self, it's like, what part of yourself are you putting out there professionally? Like the actual tangible product or service, maybe that needs to be articulated as it relates to who you're excited to work with, right?
Yes, for sure.
So adapting and evolving those pieces as well, I think is vital. Anyway, that's kind of the last. I just want to share that because.
No, I like that. I really like that thought and idea. I think that's great that you shared that.
Thanks, Rachel.
So what's next on the dating lineup?
Oh, so I in our like agreement, I have one more set up. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think that my, it's funny, you're talking about, you're like, you love hearing my dating stories. I don't have any. I feel like I'm working on being open, but the concept of it, I'm not in love with. Like, I have to confess, like, it doesn't seem, I don't know that like me on a dating site is, and I'm not saying I'm special, but I don't think me on like a app dating site thing is, I don't think that's a good way to market myself. Like, I don't think you get the intensity. Historically speaking, literally, it was always a show. So I would be doing a show and I'd meet my girlfriend through the show so she could see me as a director, or sometimes as an actor, but mostly as a director. Like, I was always directing a show, and not like, I mean, that sounds like kind of predatory, I think. Like I'd find that like
Right.
chorus girl that, no, it wasn't like that. It just, I was in my zone, I was in my
Yeah.
flow, and
Yeah.
met my woman that way. So I think like, not saying that I'm going to direct a show to meet someone, but like, I think, I think it's just, these kind of setups are great for
Yeah.
me to manifest and to ask
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
look into what I want, but I don't know that I'm gonna like pass the next one.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that it's for me.
I think this is such a great way to end because it's just you being in your element, like in your zone
Right.
of genius. And when you're on the stage or when you're directing, that's when you're in your zone.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what somebody sees in you in those moments. And so that really goes for all of us.
I would, along these lines, it's funny as you said that. I will say, I would never want to date. I'm like, I think we're all adults here. I would never want to date a coaching client. That would feel inappropriate to me.
Yes.
Right?
I'm with
Like
you.
that would not be,
Yeah.
that'd be bad for business. Like that'd just be inappropriate. And I've never felt that way. Someone asked me that. I think the matchmaker, she's like, have you ever, and I'm like, no, like surprisingly, like, no.
No, but you hang out in like women's networking groups and all sorts of other places where you could potentially meet somebody. You got to leave the door open.
Potentially, but you know what? I thought that like when things ended in 2019, I thought it'd be like right this way, Ron. We've been waiting for you. The solution. Here's your table. Like there's gonna be all these people, women excited to meet you. Like nothing.
Oh
Crickets.
my God. We do not have time to dig into that. There's a lot there. But this has been such a great conversation, Ron. I loved our topic today. So fun.
Thanks, Rich. I love talking to you. You're the best to talk to. I hope I didn't come off too intense with my passion about this, but I'm very passionate about this idea of
Yeah.
clients feeling attractive, putting themselves out there, creating, programs that they connect with others that are expressions of themselves.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
letting
It's
me
good.
outlet this.
It's good. All right. So next week, I'm really excited. We're going to kick
Yeah.
off Black History Month. I believe our guest next week is Rhoda Johnson. So I'm excited to be able to host her and for us to have a conversation with her. And then what else we got going on?
We got an amazing month of guests. Like Natalie Gentry's coming, right? Alicia, what's
Yes.
Alicia's last name? Alicia
Campbell.
It is Campbell. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought.
Yeah. And Carrie,
And Carrie Van
KBJ.
Joseph. Carrie Van Joseph.
Yep.
I've been trying to get her I've been trying to interview her for a year.
Oh, well, here, we snagged it. It's coming
I
up
know.
so soon.
I know.
All
I'm
right.
so
So
curious.
there's a
Okay.
lot to look forward to. I hope you'll continue to join us Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Oh, I got to do the closer.
Oh, Ron.
Here, I'm doing it. Oh, Ron. Oh.